Did Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who is on a leave of absence, use his rank as minister and the powers that accompany it to abuse his power and weaponize the political murders of Phendukani, Mabhida and Sindiso Magaqa to settle political scores? And did KZN Hawks Head, Major General Lesetja Senona, succeed in trying to distance himself from any knowledge of alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Matlala's alleged criminal dealings? I'm Canny Maphanga and welcome back to the Madlanga Wrap. The Madlanga Commission, which is tasked with probing allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system, kicked off its long-awaited return of public hearings with explosive testimony that explored allegations of political interference and abuse of power, levelled at the Police Minister, who is now on a leave of absence, Senzo Mchunu. The Commission heard from KZN Acting Provincial Deputy Commissioner, Major General Anthony Gopal, that Mchunu allegedly took a keen interest in the murder of Phendukani Mabhida, seeking direct information on the matter, and showed up to the police station in ANC regalia, allegedly seeking answers on why a political rival, the MK Party's Vishnu Gopal Dushi Govender, was not arrested. Mchunu allegedly committed all these acts in a manner that bypassed protocol. The Commission further heard that the alleged interference and abuse of power further extended to the murder case of ANC councillor Sindiso Magaqa, and not for good reasons. An investigator on the case, Witness E, painted Mchunu as a figure who called him often. One reason being that Mchunu allegedly called Witness E to get him to write a statement in favour of him before the Madlanga Commission, which effectively would be laden with false testimony in order to support his theory on the killing of Magaqa.
That paragraph 26, where the minister says to you, you should come and testify before the commission, did he say what it is that he wanted you to come and testify to?
At that time, and in that call, he did not specify what is it, but later on, he did say that he wants me to come and testify about the unlicensed firearms and the stolen cars that were bought by crime intelligence that were used in the killing of Magaqa and other ANC councillors.
And did you ask or did he explain why that was relevant to the commission to hear?
He has never explained that to me, Chair. Up until today, he has never explained.
And before we go to the next topic, let's look at a clip by Major General Anthony Gopal, where he explained the alleged political interference and how Mchunu bypassed protocol.
From my protocol training, it is not appropriate. But I can't say from Minister Mchunu's protocol, as a politician, what training they receive and how to communicate and with whom, and to what boundaries they cross and allowed to cross. But purely from my training, and my 35 years of historical, institutionalized protocol, it is not normal.
Mchunu also allegedly sought information on the Magaqa murder, not for it to see justice, but to allegedly implicate former ANC-NEC member Matlala and crime intelligence boss, Lieutenant General Khumalo. The Commission further heard that there was an opportunity to save the life of Magaqa, but Witness E's superiors did not act. And a few years later, the alleged interest in the matter by Mchunu has little to do with justice, but allegedly has all to do with settling scores. Witness E alleged that Mchunu insisted that Khumalo and Matlala were involved, placing a greater emphasis on the former.
The minister asked me if Lieutenant General Khumalo was also involved in the planning and the killing of Sindiso Magaqa. And I explicitly informed the minister that General Khumalo was not involved. And when I say I explicitly explained or informed the minister, I even went further in such a way that I told him that at the time, because Sindiso Magaqa was killed or was shot in July 2017, General Khumalo was not part of crime intelligence at all. He was not even in KZN. And General Khumalo was not the Division Command of Crime Intelligence. A person who was acting at that time, because we didn't have a permanent division commander, it was General Jacobs. And in KZN, the person who was a provincial commissioner, it was an acting provincial commissioner, which was General Langa. So General Khumalo was not involved at all.
Now, Mchunu vehemently denies the allegations and has indicated through a statement that he intends to return to the Commission to respond to these claims. To unpack this explosive testimony, I am joined by activist and close friend of Sindiso Magaqa, Thabiso Zulu. Thabiso, thank you so much for joining us on Connecting the Dots, and welcome.
Good evening, my assistant. Good evening to your viewers.
Thabiso, I know the wounds of grief are still fresh on the murder of Sindiso Magaqa, but one can only imagine how devastating it was to hear that the murder of Magaqa is allegedly being used to settle scores and not to obtain justice.
Yeah, no, we are at a position where we've been reiterating this, our own views, and the views that I'm sharing here are the views that are shared by the family, because we reflected after witness here testified. And our position is that we're not gullible, we're not naive, and we're not being excited by the short-term pronouncements. This matter, we are only interested in finding justice for Sindiso. We are not interested in other things that are happening in the periphery. We are not interested in people that are trying to revive their careers or trying to protect their careers. All that we are interested in is to find justice for Sindiso. And for us, we don't want this thing to sensationalize it. Nothing new that was being said there by witness. We have always maintained over the years. We've always known that the state ordered or the state are accomplices in the killing of Sindiso Magaqa. So our position was only vindicated by this being said in public. But beside that, nothing special and nothing that we can make a song and dance about.
I see that you are confirming that this information wasn't new to you or the loved ones of Sindiso Magaqa, particularly about the alleged involvement of crime intelligence and its resources in this particular murder. But I'm curious about the allegation by Witness E that Mchunu wanted to implicate, allegedly, Cele and Khumalo as the alleged masterminds or part of this particular murder. Does the family or you actually hold the same view about these particular individuals?
We have maintained over the years that Sindiso was killed by political gangsters who used assassins, and there were a lot of other people that were involved. Some were willing to move around money. Some of them are former journalists. Some of them are former apartheid agents that were busy killing our people during the times of fighting for this freedom. So all other things and who asked where and what about certain other individuals, let those who are accused of asking such be the ones who are going to answer. We are not, as we are continuing to maintain now, we're a very focused family. We are not interested in things of what was said in a tavern and what was said in a site of gossip somewhere, or what was said by someone. We are more interested in focusing to find justice for Sindiso and making sure that all those who were involved in plotting, providing resources, covering up, and everything else that happened in this case are brought to justice. What someone asked and what someone asked to do and not to do, look, we're not interested in that, and we're not going to change our position.
And I'm curious as to whether or not when the police minister that was on a leave of absence, Senzo Mchunu, took office in that particular police ministry, did you or the family ever have any interactions with him on this particular case? And if any, once he took office and in light of these alleged revelations by Witness E, do you ever believe that you'll actually be able to see justice in this particular matter?
Minister Mchunu have never interacted with the family, as many other ministers before have never interacted with the family. And at best, whoever have interacted with the family at that level have interacted with the family through the media, making media statements or pronouncing love letters and stuff. But no one have sat down with the family and taken the family through of what is going on, why certain things are happening in a certain way. So his behavior is not peculiar to his other former colleagues who have never interacted with the family.
And lastly, how do you move forward as a family in trying to secure justice in this case after learning through Witness E's testimony that Magaqa's life could actually have been saved at least 2 weeks prior? However, the superiors allegedly did not act on that intelligence information on the ground that had given or triggered off that warning that this was going to take place.
We're having the three-leg interventions, but at the right time they will be pronounced. All that one must say for now is that we're a very focused family. We are watching all the developments and watching them with keen interest, and we are also observing lies that are being told at different platforms. But at the right time, the family will make a decision, and the family will pronounce itself if and when it's necessary to do so. We're continuing to call for the arrest of all those who were involved in the assassination of Sindiso Magaqa. And in our eyes, Witness E is no hero. He had all the opportunity to tell Sindiso Magaqa without unmasking himself or blowing his cover as an undercover agent. So he's no hero. He just happened to know what he knew, which changes as it goes. But at the right time, we'll pronounce ourselves. We know what we know, and at the right platforms, we'll say what we're supposed to say.
Sindiso, thank you so much for your time. That was a very strong statement there from the activist and close friend of Sindiso Magaqa, stating there that they're not going to be drawn into the political battles of the South African police services or the political landscape, and they are firmly focused on justice for Sindiso Magaqa in that long-standing case that has yet to find any resolve in those political killings. To now explore the issue of political interference and abuse of power allegedly by Mchunu, we are now joined by Outer CEO Wayne Duvenage to expand on this particular theme that dominated, I think, day one of the testimony, that is through Major General Anthony Gopal and Witness E. Mr. Duvenage, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to Connecting the Dots.
You and your listeners and your viewers tonight.
It seems that in the police, the protocol is understood, but boundaries are clearly not. And this is evident in the evidence of Major General Gopal and Witness E, who both testified that Mchunu called them directly and were allegedly instructed to update him on specific cases that he allegedly had an interest in.
Yeah, it is interesting as to why that would be. As far as we're concerned, there's a lot of smoke when it comes to a minister's involvement in matters like this. He certainly shouldn't be involved in operational matters and have a close interest in them. So there appears to be some political agendas at play. And when you start to get feedback like this in the commission, it's going to be very interesting to see what more comes out over time. So, yes, something is amiss, or there's certainly something wrong here.
And just to add to that question quickly, Mr. Duvenage, where do you think the gap rather stands? Because I think the clear example that can always be given is that one would understand how shocking would it be, for example, if a Minister of Justice were to call a judge and try to get updates on a particular judgment. But it seems that in the police, this kind of behavior is not understood as a form of alleged political interference that could threaten the independence of these particular institutions.
Yeah, and it should be very clear. Certainly from a ministerial level, this type of behavior and conduct should not be happening at all. But not only there, we see it even lower down in the ranks of the police, where you get people across provinces that are interested in matters that have nothing to do with them. But obviously there are connections that are trying to use their contacts within the police higher up and get them to start, interfering with outcomes of cases or the depth and the breadth of these investigations. We see it sometimes even in the NPA, where we've seen some serious questions being asked about the conduct of the prosecuting authorities. So, this is the stuff that we talk about, a broken criminal justice system, where there are blurred lines, where there are crossing of lines of reporting and of activities that are happening, which really does bode for this type of commission to dig as deep as it can. And we're hoping, unlike the Zondo Commission, that some serious structural change and boundaries are put in place going forward.
Based on the two witnesses' testimony, it seems that the police minister allegedly had an interest in only 2 cases and was using that, I guess, role as the minister to gain access to that particular information, allegedly to further those political interests. So I think it's fair to conclude, or is it rather fair to conclude, that there was an alleged political interference and abuse of power with respect rather to the case of Mabhida and Magaqa, as explained in the testimony?
That's what's coming out. And, when we go back to how this all started as well, with regards to the political killings task team and the interference there, not taking input from senior police officials, making a unilateral decision, and then we hear this type of interest in cases. One has to ask the question, what is the Minister of Police doing here, and how can the President defend keeping him on? I know it's still early days and he's still got to answer to more questions coming forward, and one's not necessarily pointing to anything illegal that's happening, but politically it looks wrong, this type of interference. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what Cyril Ramaphosa does with his future appointment.
The minister, that is Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who's on a leave of absence, has vehemently denied these allegations that were made by the 2 witnesses. However, there are a lot of calls and questions as to why the president is seemingly hesitant to act on the minister when the evidence currently doesn't inspire confidence, and he actually does have that power to act without giving any reasons. One wonders, what is the president waiting on in light of all these shocking allegations that really don't set a foundation for the police minister to return to such a post, in any case, after the commission?
Well, exactly, and you put it very clearly, and this is the real issue. That's why we say we're watching with interest what happens. But I do think that if he pulls this cord, lots of questions are going to be asked about other appointments where ministers have interfered and been more out of line than maybe Senzo Mchunu, in which case there's a bit of, he could be accused of being inconsistent in making these decisions. And I guess that's one of the factors that he's got to weigh in when making this decision. Is it about what the public perception is, or what about his internal political agenda perception is? So he's got to box very smartly when he makes this decision. But quite frankly, from a civil society point of view, we cannot see how he can justify bringing Senzo Mchunu back into this role.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wayne Duvenage. We could go on forever about this particular topic, but we have run out of time. That was Alta CEO Wayne Duvenage unpacking that particular assessment of whether or not the president can act or not at this stage in light of the serious allegations being leveled against Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. After the break, we turn to the evidence of KZN Hawks Head, Major General Lesetja Senona, who sought to distance himself from alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Matlala's criminality. But his conduct in the WhatsApp exchanges betrayed his version, resulting in him relying on memory loss to survive the tough questions launched from the Commission's bench. All that and more after the break. Now, KZN Hawks Head Major General Lesetja Senona took to the witness stand next with his shoulders tall as he denied any improper relationship with alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Matlala, to the extent that he watered it down to a social relationship by climbing out of his professional rank and setting the foundation of the relationship from the vantage point of his wedding. Senona even seemingly mocked the Big Five cartel evidence, reducing it to the country's wildlife.
I submit that these allegations above are malicious, void of truth, and amount to congestion. I deny having leaked any confidential information or using my position as the provincial head for benefit of Mr. Matlala or the Big Five cartel. I look forward to providing my testimony to illustrate the aforesaid. Commissioners, I must say, I don't even know what is this thing called Big Five cartel. I only know Big Five in the country. If the commissioners want to allow me to say the Big Five that I know, I'll say it. But for the benefit of doubt and clarity, the Big Five that I know is an elephant, a lion, a buffalo, a rhinoceros, and a leopard. Those are the Big Five I know in the country. But this that is mentioned here, I don't know what are they talking about.
That smile and posture would soon fade as Senona's own conduct would be held up to him, leading to him to struggle to construct plausible explanations surrounding his actions that portrayed not only a close relationship with Matlala, but one that allegedly carried a benefit for him. The first red flag emerged when Senona sent a text to Matlala sharing the news of the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. Senona attempted to claim that he was merely sharing it as it was on social media. However, that was a difficult submission for the Commission to accept because at the time of the disbandment, the PKTT was closing in on Matlala and had conducted a raid at his residence, leaving the proposition that Senona shared it because he allegedly knew it would be of interest to Matlala, and if that is true, it means he allegedly knew of Matlala's criminal dealings.
As it is known by the Commission that the letter has been leaked as of 1st of January 2025, I merely forwarded the letter to Mr. Matlala as it was garnering the attention of many, including myself, on social media.
General, Ms. Hassim, I know you said no probing questions, but perhaps what I want to ask may, in a sense, cross the line, but I just feel I must ask the questions at this stage. General, to your knowledge, was the disbandment of the PKTT a subject of interest to Mr. Matlala?
We were just sharing information that was on social media, and
Can you please just answer the question directly? Was this a subject of interest to Mr. Matlala?
I do not know if it was a subject of interest to him, Commissioner.
So did you forward the letter to him of your own accord, or had he asked for it?
It was on my own accord, Commissioner.
Of your own accord. And if you were not aware that this was a subject of interest to him, why would you have done so?
I was not aware, but we are sharing things that are on social media that are garnering the attention of many. It garnered my attention, and we just share. I just forwarded it to him, and then after I forwarded him, I just left it there. We never had to discuss a lot of things here. And then because we were sharing issues that are on the social media.
Major General Senona would continue to serve denials in a bid to distance himself from Matlala's alleged criminality. However, the more Senona denied the objective evidence before him, to the extent that he leaned on memory loss, the more it became clear what his posture was about. Senona sought to distance himself from the alleged criminality of Senona, or rather Matlala, because he is aware of the implications or consequences of affirming or conceding that there was an alleged association as a KZN Hawks Head. His posture clearly meant that he understood that it would not be appropriate to enjoy an alleged close beneficial relationship with an alleged cartel member, as such an association could only give birth to alleged wrongdoing. He also understood that concession would open up a different can of worms, which would lead to the Commission having to explore the extent of the alleged benefits. Therefore, instead of conceding to the alleged improper relationship, Senona did not have a recollection on some conversations, and in others he blamed the English language and sought to change the meaning of the words in his texts. This led to the Commission's bench taking him to task on the alleged posture and evasiveness, which he used to shield himself from answering questions that would land him in hot water. But the Commission would close the gaps on their own in numerous topics.
General, that can't be, and you know it's not. Your language is very clear. I request that if things are favorable, let's finalize the contract. You know that's not a request. That's not a request for an update. It's not an inquiry. You know as you sit there that, in fact, what this is you're asking Mr. Matlala, let's complete this contract. Let's do what is necessary to finalize it. You know that. And please accept that we also know what the English language you have used here means, because otherwise it's as if you're taking us for fools.
General, can I say something? At this moment, you are not assisting the Commission, and you're leaving me, I'm speaking for myself, you're leaving me with the impression that you are evasive. You choose not to answer questions that you fear might get you into trouble.
It seems to me that had Mr. Matlala not been arrested, you would still be continuing with your communication with him,
No.
which buttresses or which supports my point that it's untrue that you ever intended to cut ties with him or to stop communication with him.
It is unclear whether Major General Senona's version will still stand before the Commission. However, his departure from the witness stand does not signify the end. Senona's woes are far from over, as he forms part of a short list of 5 high-ranking SABC officials that have been referred for further investigation in the Madlanga Commission's interim report, leaving his 38 years of service to the SABC at severe risk. Joining him on this list are Major General Richard Shibiri, Brigadier Nkwashu, Brigadier Rachel Macheng, and Sergeant Fanny Nkosi. In addition, employees of the Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Municipality who are accused of running a lawless municipality were not spared. The interim report made a prima facie finding of wrongdoing against 9 employees, which includes suspended Deputy EMPD Police Chief, Commissioner Julius Mkhwanazi, who was accused of running an alleged reign of terror and criminality in the municipality, and former city manager Dr. Imogen Mashazi, who is accused of providing a shield for him as he did so. The Commission will resume on Monday at 9:30 a.m., with it expected to remain firmly placed on Phase 2 of testimony, where implicated persons will be afforded their opportunity to respond to the allegations against them. Join us next week, same time, same place, to unpack what is likely to be more explosive testimony from the highly publicized probe.